Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Hi.
morning.
Thank you for coming to Superhero Costume Critique. Some costumes are classic, others are horrid. Let's talk about likes and dislikes in superhero costuming. We'll start with the ever popular introduction, starting on my right.
Okay. My name is Mark. I am a lifelong comic book fan. I've been collecting for as long as I can remember. Also a former comic book store worker and manager. So yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
I'm Sam, a bit newer to comics, but I was hyper-fixated on DC for over a year, and it's all I could think about. So I think I'm fairly qualified for this.
Okay, I'm Todd. I'm a cosplayer, costumer. I've been doing this since 2007 or so. Him, I should say. I come at this as a costumer and not as a person who's read all the comics and all the TV shows and all the movies and everything. So if I missed something, bear with me. Otherwise, I'll just be furiously Googling things on my phone.
We won't judge. It's okay.
And I'm Scott Jamison, Skajam on the internet. I have been a comics fan since the mid-60s when I learned to read. I review comics and other things on my blog, Skajam Reviews, skjam.com. I have a few business cards left. All right, so let's get started. What in general makes a good superhero costume? Starting on the far end.
Are you going to put me in the spot?
Yeah.
Well, it should be believable that the superhero can wear it. One of the things about this costume here, Arrow Season 5, is that, if I remember right, Stephen Amell actually had a little bit of input, and he said that he wanted something that he could actually put on and take off himself, not have to have a squadron of people to try and do it.
I'd say for what makes super costumes memorability. If they are often icons both to us and in their universes, and if they don't stand out, it's... Okay, but...
They agree with you.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of came into this mostly with the thought of practicality, and I mostly went with the comic iterations of costumes, not what they've shown in TV or movies. So I kind of came about it with more practicality, although I do have a few of them in here that I just think just look really good or look really bad. But I mostly kind of went for what I thought was practicality out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I would have to say recognizability. You should, a reader seeing this character on the cover should instantly recognize who this person is if they have read any of the comics with that character before.
Well, a costume should strike fear in the hearts of their enemies, too.
That just goes without saying.
Is Peter really dressing up as a giant bat? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm guessing the first impression of Batman wasn't that scary. Just, who's this furry walking around Gotham at night?
Criminals are a superstitious, cowardly lot.
Yes, you could say that.
Not exactly. I mean, have you seen all of Gotham? It's not really work.
That was after Batman.
Batman just has a lot of emotional problems. I just saw that panel.
Yes, the newer iterations of Batman have been a little more badass than the 60s campy version.
He needs therapy, that's why.
Don't we all? He's not special.
Right.
If he did, he probably wouldn't be going around at night.
That's true.
And then there are some golden age costumes that were supposed to strike fear into the hearts of criminals, like Ellen Scott, Green Lantern, and you're going,
No, terrifying.
And Mr. Terrific. Yeah.
Or the people who just had it as a headcanon that Leslie Dodds, the Golden Age Sandman, was colorblind.
Well, but I mean, that's still, if you're a criminal and you see that costume coming at you, you're gonna be freaked out.
Yeah.
That one, practical and effective. I did not think of that.
Compared to some other costumes, I'd argue that look really stupid. If you go to the Watchmen universe, Night Owl. Not Night Owl. Why did I say Night Owl? That's no, yeah, Night Owl.
Yeah, that's Night Owl.
My brain is like not here, but like Night Owl. What's his deal? Especially with Hollis, the shorts man. What was he thinking in that time? Oh yeah, this is gonna strike fear compared to Hooded Justice, whose face is obscure and has
Has a noose around his neck?
But the second Night Owl specifically mentions that his costume has a hidden slit so that if he needs to take a bladder break during a stakeout, he can.
Which is funny because in the comics he sits there naked for a really long time. He doesn't need to do. He could just strip down. He would do that anyway. He doesn't need the costume.
So you're thinking of, actually I think that's Dr. Manhattan.
Technically, they both do it. If you look in the comics, there's a solid period of Dan Driver sitting in his like owl cave, completely naked, bare.
Just his goggles.
Yes.
Yeah, just the goggles, and he's really pathetic looking. Every panel he's in, he is extremely pathetic. This man does not strike fear.
Well, if he's completely naked, remember, no costume is no costume.
Okay. Since you brought up Brazil 8, let's start with one design that you think is really cool and effective.
Really cool and effective. One of the ones that I think is cool and effective, technically it's not even a costume at all, but it works really well, is the Jack Knight version of Starman. Basically, he's like, well, I'm going to be carrying around this cosmic rod. So it's going to emit a lot of light, so I'm going to need some goggles. And I'm going to be flying around, so I better have a leather jacket to protect me from the wind. Other than that, I don't need a costume. I'm just going with jeans and a t-shirt because it's practical and effective and perfect.
I don't think I have any particular good ones that come to mind because in my brain a lot of them were well-working ones just kind of blurred together, and the ones that stand out to me are bad, so I'll sit out for this question.
Repeat the question, please.
What's one of the designs that you think is particularly effective?
I think we'll go with the Ninja Turtles on this one. They can carry their gear with them, and you know, if they're frightened, they can just disappear into their shell.
Well, that's more their biology than a costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wear masks.
Which really helped their identity as giant turtles.
It helped us more than it helped anyone else.
Well, the original Eastman and Laird version, they didn't have different colored masks, so you just...
That's true, it was black and white, so you could just had to tell them apart from the weapons that they used.
Yeah.
I have to say that the Superman costume has been especially effective for many years with various variations. It has a nice cape for visual motion effects, a prominent chest elbow for marketing purposes.
Right, so you're talking effectiveness is more for like just us as a reader or a viewer as opposed to how they are in the comics?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Since it was based partially on how strongmen of the 1930s and 40s dressed, it has the extra shorts over the tights to smooth out certain bulges.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least he doesn't have a super cave or something.
That's true, Super Bowl.
Well, he did have that.
Yes.
That just made me think of Oliver Queen calling his hideout the Arrow Cave. and then Ina calling Harley Quinn himself being like, isn't the quiver better?
Yes, yes it is.
Which it is.
Okay. Let's start over at this end again. What are some of the better redesigns you've seen?
Better 3 designs?
Redesign.
Oh, redesigns.
Redesigns, where the old costume maybe was okay, but the redesign was even better.
I'm gonna go with Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know, the old Loki was just a generic supervillain wearing tights. Well, not terribly generic, I mean, he had the horns and everything like that. You know, seeing him in the Thor movie and especially Avengers with the leather and metal and, you know, the long coattails, that's, you know, that really set his character off.
For me, I'd have to say I think the Robin costume, just because it evolves with each person to take on the mantle, which helps, it makes it iconic, it helps suit each character to shape kind of what they stand for, well, being Robin. And although I miss the short shorts, I think it's really impactful that way to see how it changes with each new kid that Bruce Wayne decides to throw in the ring of crime.
Well, yeah, aside from the Robin costume, which I did put as like one of my worst costume designs, just he's running around Gotham in the winter in short shorts.
To be fair, that is Dick Grayson's fault. He's a circus kid. He was like, oh yeah, let's do this.
I know, but
He was not blame a child for that.
But anyway, aside from Robin, because yeah, the Tim Drake Robin costume is so much better. After that, I would probably have to say a Black Canary as an option. Worst costume designs, again, I think Wonder Woman and Black Canary originally, just because, again, practicality. They're not going to be staying covered very, very well, running around and fighting. And then after a while, during the Birds of Prey era, when Black Canary actually put on like an actual better costume, I think that this is actually what she looks like more recently.
And it's have low heels,
Yeah, and no high heels, and yes.
instead of being pointy in this one.
So, but that's one I would say for that.
Of course, with Black Canary, the original Fishnets outfit was club wear because she was posing as a low-level criminal to sucker other criminals into giving her information.
Yeah, but that only lasted for a little while.
True, but she kept.
But the costume lasted all the way to, you know, the 90s. Pretty much.
I'm going to say that one of my favorite redesigns was actually Green Arrow going from the Golden Age or Silver Age thing to his Bronze Age outfit.
When he started with the goatee.
Yes, the goatee really completed the outfit, but it went from low rent Robin Hood costume to high rent Robin Hood costume.
Unfortunately, his goatee is also what got somebody to recognize him as.
Oh, yes.
It's not good for
It wasn't the
identity.
smartest idea, no.
No.
Wow, your facial hair looks a lot like Green. Oh, no.
No, me, Oliver Queen, no.
Although every so often we will see a street scene in Star City and there are other men wearing very similar beards, possibly because Green Arrow started the trend.
That's what I'm going to go for so long.
Right, let's talk, what's one of the costumes you think for superheroes that was really awful? We'll start with you. Yes,
Oh,
you.
wow, me for once. Okay, this is gonna be weirdly specific, but upon being asked this question, I just remembered in the Injustice 2 video game, Cheetah Her customizable options are just basically wood strapped to her already like furry precedents, and it is like why they only really had to do that because the game mechanics rely on different costumes and with different like stats. But it all looks terrible. She just like taped driftwood to herself a lot of the time.
When your costume is essentially being naked and just being covered with fur, it's kind of hard to put costume on.
Yeah, but I don't think taping driftwood to yourself is the best course of action. You could have like put on like a jacket even over it, or like accessories that are actually, you know, clothing.
I don't know about I don't know about a bad costume, but one costume that's a little questionable is the Incredible Hulk. How do his pants manage to stretch, but his shirt falls off?
Just, you know,
Science.
yeah. Dr. Banner had to make his own, you know, the first time he transformed into Hulk, it was probably really embarrassing and really upsetting for anyone around him.
Oh, that's true. Actually, didn't he end up naked in all the MCU movies?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the comics, eventually it was Reed Richards coming up with unstable molecules just to write away any other problems people have with costumes. Why doesn't Johnny Storm's costume burn off of him? Oh, unstable molecules. How does the Invisible Woman's costume turn invisible when she does unstable? Whatever, just anything.
Any question you're asking is unstable molecules,
Yes.
now regardless of the relation to costumes or not.
Absolutely.
Oh, actually, I do have an idea. I do have a costume that was supremely ineffective. Dr. Doom in the Fantastic Four movie in 2015. It looked like he was wearing green garbage bags with green LEDs underneath. You know, not exactly a ruler of Latveria or anything like that. Just, I got scarred by this planet. Help me.
I got scarred because I put on my mask while it was still burning hot. Yeah, so, and for me, worst, there's still, there's
Still bad.
no, just bad costume. Right. So I had, just from a purpose of being really ugly, I thought, this is one of Wonder Man's various costumes over the years.
Give me Kite Man energy.
Kinda, yeah. This is probably one of the worst ones he's had, but he's had a series of very, very bad costumes, and that's one of the tops.
Of course, there have been several deliberate examples of people designed to have bad costumes, like one of Kitty Pryde's first costumes when she was calling herself Sprite was basically looked like she had fallen into a Goodwill Hot Topic store and just grabbed 15 different items off the shelves.
Yeah, so I don't count that as a bad one. That was done purely for humor effect, and she's like a 12-year-old girl at the time. So it's like, well, yeah, of course you're gonna do that. But.
Same reason Nick Grayson had the short shorts. It all comes back to that.
Most 90s costumes.
Most 90s costumes. Oh, they just all had so many pockets.
And,
Pockets,
and,
and high collars.
and high collars.
Yeah, the superheroes seem to lack pockets a lot.
Okay, by the way, if you are just coming here for the first time today, those colored sheets are to help you attract our attention.
And that way we don't have to call on you by whatever you're wearing. Like, you know, person in the one shirt over there, or whatever.
And pink.
What are you guys' thoughts for Daredevil's costume?
Which one?
Like, I guess the when he started as just like wearing like a ninja outfit with a bandana, and then casually upgrades to an actual Daredevil suit.
Oh, it's from the TV show?
TV show, comics, I don't know.
Okay, I personally really like the Daredevil progression. So in the TV show, I thought it worked really well because it was just the easy way to just put on a mask and black outfit, and then after a while, when he started kind of getting the nickname moniker of Daredevil, make something that's a little bit more apt to that name. But yeah, I mean, in the comics when he first appeared, he had that red and yellow outfit, which has made a comeback in his appearance in She-Hulk. That I'd much rather prefer the red. And then in the 90s, he also had a really horrible costume for a while too. It's just that classic red with the 2Ds on it.
Yeah.
And the small little horns on top. It's a brilliant costume design, I think.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about how superheroes design their costumes.
I can start off the bat by saying Green Lantern's a good example because each Lantern pretty much gets the choice of how their suit forms. I can name a few panels. There's an interaction in one version where Hal first becomes Green Lantern and he's talking to Sinestro. And he chooses his own costume and Sinestro gets really upset that Hal didn't want to match. Another example would be Guy Gardner. His costume, compared to a lot of the other Lanterns, really stands out. He's got those big boots and everything. I think that's a fun way to explore individuality while still sharing that same trend of we are all Green Lanterns, so this is going to unify us. But the specific little fashion choices are up to the individual.
I kind of like the progression of one of the Spider-Man, I think it was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where he was a kid learning his superpowers, and he was like, he put on a red sweatshirt and blue sweatpants or something like that, and he was going to freak shows performing there, and then he gradually developed his uniform out of that. That really showed an interesting progression there. Was that Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And he did it in the comics too, so I mean, it's pretty much ripped right straight from it. It does amaze me how brand new superheroes all of a sudden can be incredible fashion designers as well. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna make this costume and it's gonna look great immediately.
It's funny talking about that, like new superheroes, when you think about sidekicks trying to replicate maybe the one they're with, like Speedy, the initial costume is just like Green Arrow, but recolored and smaller.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just like a tiny little clone in a different color.
Well, that's called a palette swap for video game usage. You know, just swap the colors and you got another character.
In the Golden Age, several superheroes had old masquerade costumes or costumes they were planning to use for masquerades. Fortunately, no one ever goes around the tailor shop saying, hey, did you ever sell a costume that looks like this?
Yeah. Well, and it's fortunate also for a good number of Golden Age characters like the Dr. Fate or the Spectre or probably a couple others that I'm blanking on right now. Their costumes just kind of came with their powers. It's just like, oh, well, you put on the helmet, you look like this.
You are the spirit of vengeance, you look like this.
And yes, you're the spirit of vengeance, you look like this. And that made it easier and plausible anyway.
Blue?
Actually, with the Spectre, it's one of the really kind of silly moment in comics. In his origin story, at the very end of it, you see him still in his Jim Corrigan form, sewing the Spectre costume.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So he apparently hadn't quite figured out the extent of his powers at that point.
And then he sewed the costume.
Yes.
He sewed the costume and chose that.
Yeah. Yeah, maximum dead weight skin.
Just barely beating Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
I think the thing we could maybe talk about is costume redesigns that we think got worse.
Okay, yes.
Because an example I have is, if you look at Cosmic Boy, his initial outfit was, it was pretty solid. At one point though, later down the line, a large portion, like I think it was just like the pink coloring of a suit, he just dropped that
Yeah.
and with just bare skin out there. I don't know why he did that.
Cockroach.
Yeah, the answer is Dan Cochran.
Just,
But yeah, it's just like, yeah, oh, I'll see if I can find that for people who don't know.
it's so funny to me.
It is.
Yeah, Dave Cockrum did not believe that women should be the only ones wearing glorified bikinis.
Not necessarily wrong there, but.
He's not wrong, but also, why do that with a character who already had an established costume and just downgrading to be more?
And they had to specify that its beak had metal fibers in it, so it was held on by its magnetism.
Sure.
Yeah.
Batman with nipples.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Pink.
Harley Quinn, going from a gymnast leotard, because she's an acrobat, to wearing a corset.
Blame that on mental illness.
Yeah,
This is a variation of Cosmic Boy, but
Look at him.
Oh no.
Oh my.
Yeah, he really is.
Cosmic Boy.
And he's just so confident in wearing that. There's a panel of him being rejected and going on a mission by another superhero. And it's just so funny because I know the context isn't because of what he's wearing, but in my brain, that is what's happening. It's like, no, not dressed like that. No.
Funny, I've never seen anybody cosplaying like that.
Not enough confidence in people's bodies.
Yeah.
no magnetic powers.
That too.
there we go. Pink again.
Yeah, I can switch colors for you.
No problem, no, this, colors are great.
Right. So I feel like I already know the answer, but is Beast Boy costumes is all molecules then when he transforms into different animals?
Well, DC never had the unstable molecules thing that Marvel did, so yeah, we just don't know how that happens. But it should, but yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that they never really, it's like, yes, the costume just goes away and comes back on, and yeah. It's
Maybe, like eats it. I don't know.
In his early appearances, his regular clothes did that too.
Yeah.
Well, because there was different types, because like I recently started watching the adult Teen Titans, so like just Titans, and like Beast Boy has to take off all of his clothes,
Yeah.
and
Then finally, eventually, someone is like, oh, here's a costume for you that'll morph with
well, not
you.
quite yet, but
It happens eventually.
okay.
I have not finished watching that show. I tried watching it.
I'm on season 4.
It just, it's something about
That's
it.
when it happens. That's all there is, and all there will be.
Is that the same thing for Superboy? Just put on a t-shirt?
He really went from the cool leather jacket, like iconic outfit of his era to I'm going to wear a t-shirt with my clone father's, like a similar logo to my clone father, and jeans.
Yeah. But it's terribly effective still.
It is, but I really miss the old look. It's just from my own sense of fashion. It is so much better to me.
Eat robot roll culture.
Thank you. I'm wondering about superhero teams that all dress alike, because we saw it in X-Men, the beautiful black and yellow spandex.
Yes.
Other groups that have done that?
Fantastic Four.
Oh, sure.
Fantastic, yeah. Those are the two that really got, I think more recently, the like more recent Doom Patrol comics have done that as well. Actually, early Doom Patrol did that too. They had red and white.
Yeah.
Do they talk about when they've gone from black and yellow spandex to individual, oh, I know who you are because you're wearing Wolverine's jacket, or you're made of steel now instead of...
It was around the new X-Men time when Chris Claremont gave it like giant size X-Men 1, where the individual members seem to have more individual costumes. But pretty much before then, even after, they weren't all doing black and yellow necessarily anymore, but they were still at least very similar. At least all had an X on it somewhere, like I think Jean Grey was a green dress with an X on it. Cyclops had a blue outfit with an X. Yeah, at least some unifying theme, and right about the new X-Men time when Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Colossus came about, that's when they were just like, yeah, we don't need to worry about that too much anymore.
Yep. In the plot line, it was explained by, hey, you kids are all basically grad students now, so instead of all dressing in the school uniform, you will be allowed to pick your own outfits.
I guess that's why when the New Mutants were introduced, they all kind of went back to the black and yellow outfit there as well. So I suppose when they...
Actually, it was blue and yellow. Was it not blue and yellow?
I think at one point they had some blue and yellow, but originally it was black and yellow.
So would the Ninja Turtles count then as dressing alike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all giant turtles.
The masks, they're different color, but they're all the same shape, so
We
yeah.
just don't talk about that fifth turtle.
Which one?
That's right, there have been a
What,
couple
one?
of
Technically, in the term of wearing some outfits, we count the Powerpuff Girls. They got their dresses all the same, but just, different colored. It just,
Rock boys too.
yeah, Rowdy Rock Boys.
Yep. Let's talk about superheroes outside of DC and Marvel for a bit. What are some of your favorite costumes from those?
I didn't research those.
Have to think more on that because I'm in a panel later that talks about what makes a hero essentially, and superhero can still be a very broad term depending on the media you come across. So it's hard to think about in such a broad spectrum. If you narrow it down to comics, it's easier. And then you go to, okay, heroes as a whole, good costume. There's too many.
How about the Tick and Arthur?
There we go. Well, but
It's just off the
Tick's
wall.
is not a costume.
It's just off the wall. They have a fucking moth suit that makes him fly.
Yes. Buddy, yeah. In thinking, my wife helped me with one, and the Valiant comic book universe, there were actually a few of them. The one she mentioned specifically is Faith. Which is a very body positive superhero. It was a lot of fun. I'm also now remembering Solar Man of the Atom was a fairly decent costume from the Valiant era.
Yep. His Silver Age design was also pretty good. Yes, what's really fun about Dr. Solar is that's not his, or wasn't his hero name. That was his actual name. His hero name was Man of the Atom.
Just so everyone's aware, we got like a little under 30 minutes left halfway through our time.
Right? I'm going to pick Sailor Moon, and yes, that's another group that tends to dress the same.
Similarly.
Very much designed to be visibly heroic and fairly feminine at the same time. Plus very saleable accessories.
I think you can say that about a lot of like magical girl.
Yeah, Magical Girl, as a genre, there's so much to it. Personally, I talked about this before the panel with them, but Card Captor Sakura, in each episode, she pretty much gets a different outfit made by her best friend, who is totally gay for her. Not relevant, but it's worth pointing that out. And it's just fun to see a different little outfit each episode. And it somehow, like a lot of the time, it sometimes it fits the theme of whatever card she's capturing, but it's neat. Lots of variety there.
It does not hurt to have a friend who will design your costume for you.
It does hurt a little bit once that friend wants to photograph you all the time and you're trying to, stop bad things from happening. But, we win some, you lose some.
Pink paper.
Speaking of outside of the main, I don't remember if it was Vertigo or if it was someone else. I'm blanking on comic studios. But Madame Mirage, which Neil Gaiman was involved in, I think. No, not Neil Gaiman.
Madam Xanadu.
Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm was involved. It was called
Oh.
Madame Mirage.
Yeah.
And she's this big 1930s old Hollywood starlet, big hat, big beautiful dress, big evening gloves. And the spoilers, big reveal at the end is she's mostly a hologram. And she's either an independent hologram or she's a hologram with a smaller, very teched up, very practical garage wear younger sister who is using the image of her sister to be this superhero. So it's this really good blend of, that's a completely impractical costume. It's like, yes, because it's a hologram.
I think
Madam Mirage?
Madame Mirage, yeah.
Whoa. Oh, yeah.
I think in that same vein of comics that aren't quite DC or Marvel, I think this before DC pretty much took over a lot of the Wild Stories characters. The Authority is one to talk about. I think the engineer specifically and is really interesting in terms of costume because it's not really a costume; it's her technology that also she can do like almost anything with. It feels impractical, but with the logic given in the thing, it makes complete sense, which is a weird contradictory thing. But I think that's interesting, and just all of the Authority. Jack Hawk's and his feet, I guess.
Yeah, feet are treads, yeah.
Yeah, terrifying to look at. Not a fan. And then you see like the Doctor, whose costume isn't really a costume at all. He's just kind of there being stoned. The high off of who knows what all the time, but it's still like an iconic look for him. It's fun to think about.
I got a thought here. What do you guys in the panel think about superheroes that have made the transition from the comics pages to the cinematic or TV universe? Costume changes for the better or for the worse?
I think it's very like depends on the character, and I think when it becomes that transition, it's a lot of a matter of complete opinion, and if you think it's because a lot of in terms of ignoring practicality, just like the aesthetics of it all, it's very everyone's going to have their own different niche and what they like. I personally prefer comics Green Arrow to live action Green Arrow, for example. I have a friend who's very passionate about Green Arrow and the entire Arrow family, who lives on the hill of comics, comics costumes over the show. But there's nothing inherently wrong with the show's costume either. I think it's still a very good one, but...
Well, the unfortunate thing is the comics as a medium, you can just easily defy the laws of physics. And it's fine, and no one really thinks twice about it, but when you have to take those ideas and put them into a real world situation, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I thought still one of the best examples is when the first X-Men movie came out, and I'm like, well, those costumes don't look anything. But when I think about it, I'm like, but honestly, just if you put them in spandex and put them out there, it's not going to be effective. It's not going to work as well. And I'm glad that they even made a joke about it in the movie, like what we were expecting, yellow spandex. So you think about the practicality of it, putting it in the real world, you're going to have to make some changes. And I think as long as it still doesn't look horrible, I'm fine with rolling with those changes.
Yeah.
And you could see, like, even a more recent example in Vision Scarlet, or in WandaVision, when you see Wanda come down the stairs in a more comic book accurate Scarlet Witch version, me as a fanboy squeed, but I'm like, yeah, you're not going to run around like that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm okay usually with changes for practicality in movies. I am not fond of well, we're just going to leave the mask off for 90% of the movie. So much for secret identities, thank you very much.
A lot of them aren't taught to begin with.
I am often very displeased if they decide to bring the duller movie costume back into the comic.
Yeah, they will oftentimes just go back in the comics and say, oh, now we're gonna, so everybody knows this costume from the movies, we're gonna move that over to the comic now. So, Dr. Gomez.
So, I was thinking, when you're talking about transition, I was very glad after reading Watchmen that Phantom Lady had a different costume.
Silk Spectre.
Or Silk Spectre.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because that was like, that was nigh on unwearable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of the Watchmen costumes are really, I can't find a word for it, but in actuality, they be very, very unpleasant. And I think there's a fun little joke within the Watchmen that they talk about how like impractical some of the costumes are, such as the comedian, but him, when he pretty much like attacks to adjust his own thing, why would you wear a noose around your neck? And bringing that impracticality into the comic itself.
And then there are the times where you can tell that the writer didn't like the costume and is getting rid of it deliberately for whatever reason. I'm thinking specifically of the time that I think it was It's Black Canary, I'm trying to remember the exact year, but she had temporarily put on this blue and black full body costume that was fireproof because she was fighting a villain with fire powers.
Yeah, the one with the shoulder pads and the headband on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, one of our favorites.
And kept that on for a while until the new writer came along and said, I want to go back to fishnets, so he had her burn her fireproof costume in the fireplace.
Unstable molecules.
And say it was trash.
It was.
Thoughts on any characters that have done like costume changes, going from like a sidekick to a full hero, or just like a name change? Any thoughts on some of those ones?
Best example of a superhero going from sidekick to full-blown hero is, I think the real only big answer here is Nightwing, Robin to Nightwing. Although I will say, also going from one bad costume design to another kind of bad costume design, depended on the artist. Whoever sometimes would draw the collar like way up here.
Oh, disco wingsuit. I've drawn Garfield wearing that before.
Because I went back and because I was thinking about that costume before this panel, I looked back at the original first panel that George Perez drew of it, and the collar was down here. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then some other artists just kind of went, oh, when I draw, I'm going to have it up here.
Each time he comes off a panel and comes back, the collar gets taller.
Right. Same thing happens with Batman's ears.
Yep.
But yeah, but my personal thought, and also the same with hoods for like Green Arrow, you turn your head quick, you're seeing cloth. That's so impractical in a fight. It's just made no sense to me.
Yeah, you need peripheral vision.
I think personally for me, when it comes to sidekicks, because for like Tara's Nightwing mentioned, I think a lot of the other Titans are kind of a good example when you think about Garth turning into Tempest, Aqualad. His initial costume is very childish. It makes me think of SpongeBob SquarePants severely. Like, it has just that small kid aesthetic, and he grows up and has his own. He's clearly changed, and he's not having this run of a kid, which is it's a lot more of his own thing. I also think that with Speedy becoming Arsenal, it's a fun one just because when he's Arsenal, he ends up using a lot more variety of things. It shows in the name, but it also shows in all the whatever gadget he has and like all the pockets and everything in his various costumes, I think.
90s and pockets. There you go.
Yeah.
Arsenal, that's one of the good badass costumes. The red, black faded, and all the weapons he's carrying and everything like that. And the lacing of the jacket, I really like those details. Thought about doing one of those ones, but it never panned out.
While I really did like this is kind of sticking with the Titans theme, Donna Troy's Wonder Girl costume I thought was really good also. But when she finally went to that black with stars, you know, like when she became Troya, I thought that looked amazing as well.
I love that one, and I love the art of it, especially when it's in, there's a side plot to Countdown to Infinite Crisis where it's Donna Troy, Kyle Rayner, and Jason Todd going through the multiverse. And the art of Donna in that series with that outfit is absolutely stunning a lot of the time.
I already had this picture queued up.
And then there's Kid Flash, who just steals the Flash's costume.
Yep. Actually, his original Flash costume was exactly like his Uncle Barry's, and Barry used used a ray to redo it. You should have your own costume, and
That not to keep out, not stay out of that.
Yeah, I did like his yellow top, red.
The
Yeah.
yellow one was good.
So thank you for that.
So we got about 15 minutes here.
blue.
Also, just going off the Kid Flash thing, in the early versions of that, when he first got the yellow costume, the yellow and red costume, they also had a thing into it because they didn't have his hair was shown through, but they had a thing where it actually somehow changed his hair color. When he was Kid Flash, he would have brown hair, his normal hair was red to help disguise his identity. But that kind of fell by the wayside that when other people who were coloring it weren't aware of that aspect, they stopped doing it.
That does tend to
Sometimes it would
happen.
be red always, and sometimes it would be brown, and also brown when he was just as Wally.
Does he or doesn't he? Well, he has hairdresser knows for sure.
And, maybe it depends on his mood.
Think again?
Just calling out some non-comic based films with superheroes, Sky High and The Incredibles, both do really interesting things with costumes. The Sky High is mostly color blocking across clusters or groups of superhero families, and then Incredibles is just really good about everything with superheroes. But costuming, we get to see changes in what superheroes are wearing. We get to see Edna Mode. We get to see people making their own costume syndrome. So
And no capes.
no capes.
No capes.
Where's my super suit?
Honey, where's my super suit?
No, yeah, The Incredibles had a lot of incredible costumes in it too. I've seen Sky High, but it was such a long time ago. I don't remember the costumes in it. I do love The Incredibles costumes. Yes.
Let's dip into super villain costumes for a moment. What are some really effective super villain costumes?
Effective supervillain costumes?
Or really cool, as the case may be.
Honestly, a lot of, well, I didn't prep as much on that one as I should have. Going because I am a huge Titans fan. Deathstroke the Terminator is a fantastic costume design, and pretty much any change that has been made on it hasn't been too much of a deviation from the original, even going into movies or TV shows or any other version of animated version of them, because it's kind of hard to beat that original.
Yeah. Two villains come to mind. I would say Clayface, but he doesn't really count as a costume. He's just changing him. But that is a fun if you like, if that could count, just how he can change all of that. He can wear whatever. He can do anything. Other thought was the Trickster, because he's very out there, very unwell.
We could do a whole panel on just Flash villain costumes.
For real, but like I think the Trickster especially, just the weird styling of it. He was a circus kid, but also, I mean, I'm talking James Jesse specifically, not Axel, for context. But being a circus kid, it's like out there, it's bright and colorful, but it's like mismatched, which really aligns with his behavior and personality, I think. It's just maybe not in terms of practicality, but in terms of like maybe unintentional symbolism and just vibes. I really love his costume.
I'd go with Dr. Doom as an effective supervillain costume.
Including the trash bags.
Not that version. No, I'm thinking the armored version, you know, where he's got the armored face mask and all that stuff. You know, he looks like the ruler of Latveria. He's got a plan for the nation, and he knows he's in charge, basically.
Yeah, there's something really like brilliant in the simplicity of that. I mean, it's just gray and green, and he's never really changed that either. And it's just like, I don't need to, I don't care what you think. I'm Dr. Doom, I'll look how I want.
And the Iron Mask, which is definitely rivets on it, gives you an idea of his personality. This is armor that he's wearing.
Yes.
He
Yeah, I made
is
a Dr.
hard
Doom
man.
a few years ago, and I had that at CONvergence.
Hell yeah.
A villain, not so much a costume as a look, is Joker. Very excellent design. There have been a few less good versions, but
Suicide Squad. We're all thinking it had to be said.
Yes.
yep. But
He was damaged, wasn't he?
but that purple and green outfit that should be clownish but doesn't quite make you think he's funny.
Is it the original or like Bronze Age Joker costume? So where it's like it seemed like it was kind of an elegant look. But it was, I mean, obviously he's a horrible person, but I'm gonna look good.
Elegant look for a man who's laughing maniacally while throwing like deadly toys essentially at everyone. You know, gotta look fancy while doing that.
Of course.
Okay, I believe someone had their pink cup.
I just wanted to call out specifically the Music Meister from Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Amazing costume. Amazing design there. I love Brave and the Bold.
Completely impractical changes, completely impossible. But it's such they're all these different genres, different style of music themed costumes. And somehow that one character, you go, yeah, that works for that guy.
I think Brave and the Bold, just their choices as a whole are really fun. I know it doesn't really change Red Tornado's design a lot, but whenever I think of Brave and the Bold, I just think of his little face, his little mouth. I love him so much. He looks so stupid.
He's a baby.
Alrighty. One more cost from the audience. Yellow.
Jason Todd's like flat red hood mask versus with the lips.
The lips are not real to me. I will die on this hill. The artist who did that is dead to me. If you give him lips, you are dead to me. I don't care who you are.
There's also a version of Iron Man armor where they put a nose on it too. So very similar vibe there, yeah.
I want to point out, one of my friends, I have a few friends who are heavily into DC too, they taunt me by sending me images of the Red Hood helmet with lips. They send me it on Discord, and it fills me with so much rage. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I don't know who drew it, I don't know who approved it. And so, like...
That's the same person who approved the bat nipples, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say Batman's nipples. Which is nice.
I mean, he's not the only one with nipples. I believe in live action Watchmen, I can't remember the series of the movie, Ozymandias also has nipples. So...
So we got about 5 minutes left.
Okay. Has anyone in the audience not had a chance to ask a question yet who would like to?
I can hear the crickets.
Okay. How about we start at this end or last thing you want to say about the superhero costume?
Last costume choice here. Let's see. One of my favorites, still after all these years. I'm gonna stay up. Nightcrawler. I love this version. Original version, still one of the absolute best. Yeah, I believe Dave Cochran designed that. Yeah, it's still one of the best. A lot of those early X-Men costumes in that era were really good, but that is one of my absolute favorites. And in general, I was like, I'm nowhere near like any type of fashion expert at all, but when I just see, sometimes you just see a costume and you just go, yep, that's amazing. That's always been one of them for me.
I don't know, I think I need everyone to know that in the 60s in the Green Lantern comic, Hal Jordan in Green Lantern attire gets stuck in a yellow cage that obviously he can't use the ring to get out of. So the first thing he does is to manually strip out of the Green Lantern costume, and he's wearing nothing underneath it. And I just need you all to know that. That's my final thought.
Yep. My final thought is, why do the filmmakers and TV makers make it difficult for us cosplayers to put costumes together? Like the nanotechnology of Spider-Man's suit.
Yeah.
Oh, just be a millionaire. Just be Batman. You can buy it all.
That's true.
Actually, I think we have just enough time for each of us to tell the audience where we're going to be or how to contact us. Starting then.
Okay. I'm going to be in the Masquerade this evening as Iron Man Mark 17, Heartbreaker.
Wow.
So you'll see that. And then Sunday morning, I'm going to be doing a panel on foam, EVA foam for costuming.
I have 3 more panels today: the Phoenix Wright fan panel, self-made superheroes, and parental units. Come check this out. So I'll be at all 3 of those. And I draw. If you want to see that, follow me on Tumblr at ChainChip.
I will be on self-made superheroes, and I believe right after this one, 31 flavors of RPGs.
I have one more panel, and it is also self-made superheroes. So
You're stuck. If you come there, you're
3
stuck
of
with
us
3 of us.
again later on tonight.
And I have a few business cards left for my book review website. Thank you all for coming. You've been a beautiful audience.
Thanks.